Welcome everyone to another episode of Pop Rant Radio, the podcast where two pop culture junkies discuss popular and sometimes not so popular culture. My name is Moss, I'm one of your hosts, and with me as always is my good friend and co-host, Eric from Beyond the Wall. How are you today, sir?
Oh, I hope I'm not beyond the wall.
It begins.
Yes. So today's topic is Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Season 6 of Breaking Bad, better known as Better Call Saul.
So today we're here to talk about Game of Thrones.
I've never seen Game of Thrones.
Oh, in that case, today I'm here to talk about Game of Thrones.
Just give me a quick recap. What happens in the first season?
So
now
there's some guys and there's some girls and they fight, and sometimes there's boobs and sometimes there's dragons and stuff.
Oh, Kit Harington.
And Kit Harington, right?
Yeah.
That's really all you need to know.
So of course I've seen.
You can pick up from here. Just watch season 7 going forward. You'll be fine.
But yeah, of course I have seen Game of Thrones. That was all a ruse.
Yes, so we're here to talk about season 6 of Game of Thrones, which, as of this recording, just wrapped up a few days ago.
Exactly 3.
Exactly 3 days ago. Ooh.
Yes.
Just like there's 3 dragons, 3 heads of dragons on the Targaryen banner.
Ooh, and there's 2 wolves
there's
left.
3 little pigs.
And there's 3 blind mice.
3!
Where's Two-Face when you need him?
So obviously, going forward, major spoilers for really the entire show and some of A Song of Ice and Fire, because I'm going to pull a little bit of knowledge from the books. Have you read any of the books?
I read the first one. I read Game of Thrones.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I had it on my phone, and then my phone had to reset, and I lost all of them.
Nice.
So I have to go back and get them.
So obviously, major spoilers for the latest season of this TV show. You've been warned.
Yeah, idiots.
If you haven't watched all 10 episodes of season 6 yet, just wait.
Or just listen.
Just listen to all of our other episodes 20 times,
yep,
so we get credit for the download.
Download them, then delete them, then download them.
Tell all your friends.
Yep,
do
the same.
Like all of our social media shit. Send us cookies.
Plugs.
And then come back and listen to this episode.
I like how
see what you think.
I like how nowhere in there was watch Game of Thrones.
No, it's implied. Oh man, so we have a lot to talk about this season. We have a lot to talk about in just the last episode on its own.
Yep.
But a lot to talk about this season. So obviously, at the end of season 5, Jon Snow is killed. He's betrayed by the men of the Night's Watch,
including the little brat,
led by Sir Alistair Thorne.
Oh, that one.
Little Ollie.
Yep. Little Ollie, who has the permanent shit face.
Well, his wildlings killed his parents right in front of him.
Yeah,
He's kind of like the Bruce Wayne of Westeros.
He's a little douchebag, though. I'm sorry. He's terrible.
The season opens with Jon's body laying on the ground.
Yeah, I really liked this because it literally picked up. It felt like it picked up
moments
after season 5 end. Because there's no one has found his body yet.
Right. So Sir Davos Seaworth, the best character on the show, comes outside.
He's like Game of Thrones Daryl.
Yes, and finds
but better.
Jon's body, takes him inside along with Sir Dolorous Ed. Not Sir Dolorous Ed, he's just Dolorous Ed. He's not a knight.
Guy.
Dolorous Ed and a few of the other men of the Night's Watch. Jon was betrayed. Jon, of course, was the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch at the time.
Right.
Shit goes down. Yeah. Alistair Thorne gathers up the other men of the Night's Watch.
Yeah, and actually, I really like this scene.
Yeah.
Because Alistair Thorne, the whole show has set him up as being some guy that just kind of had it out for Jon Snow.
Yes.
He just doesn't like him. And Jon Snow's protector, Mormont, is gone at this point.
Well, yeah,
He's been gone for a long time.
Jorah Mormont's dead. Sam Tarly is gone at this point.
Right.
Maester Aemon is dead.
Right.
So everyone that's kind of quote-unquote loyal to Jon, besides Dolorous Ed and Davos,
right,
everyone else is kind of gone.
Well, and also he just split the group down the middle by bringing the wildlings.
Right. He let all the wildlings through the wall. Like you said, this scene was really well done. There's that scene in the mess hall where Alistair Thorne is explaining to all the other men of the Night's Watch, look, he was our Lord Commander, and I killed him. I betrayed him, but he betrayed us.
Yeah.
He let the wildlings through the wall. We've been guarding the wall from the wildlings for thousands of years, and he betrayed the ideals of the Night's Watch. And there's a really good line where he says something to the effect of, I have no doubt that Lord Commander Snow had the best of intentions.
Right.
I have no doubt that he thought what he was doing was right, but I had to make a decision, and the decision I made was I had to kill him.
Yeah, and he stands by it, and it's like this really cool moment where this guy who clearly hates Jon Snow is still showing him respect.
Right. And we as the audience, we clearly know what's going on, but it's nice because you can see it from his point of view and the history of the Night's Watch. His decision kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
He's not privy to all the information. He hasn't seen the White Walkers, he wasn't at Hardhome. From his point of view, he kind of made the right call.
Right.
So there's the tense scene, and it plays over a couple episodes where the men of the Night's Watch are trying to get into the room where John's body and Davos, Dollar said, and the other guys are.
They're all barricaded.
Yeah, Melisandre is in there as well. We figure out that Melisandre, when she takes off
she's like ancient.
Yeah, she takes off her necklace, and then it's revealed that she's really, really old and she's ancient.
Which doesn't really play anything into this season.
It doesn't have any implications other than she's clearly been around for a long time, I guess. I'm sure it'll pay off later.
Well, and not to jump ahead, but she leaves in the end of the season. She kind of leaves the story.
But before that, she resurrects Jon Snow because she is aware that this is possible after witnessing Thoros of Myr bring back Beric Dondarrion in the earlier season. The actual resurrection was fairly well done. They do the ritual and it looks like it fails, and it really...
Well, even like the doubt leading up to it. Like she full on says, I can't do this.
Right.
Like, I'll try my best, but it's not going to work.
This whole season, a lot of great scenes with Davos where he's like...
Every scene with Davos.
Dude, he's so great. He's just he's like, look, I don't pretend to believe in any of this. I don't pretend to understand any of this, but we need you to bring him back.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't think you can do it. I don't care if you don't know exactly what you're doing. I need you to try.
Yeah, and we're going to get back to Davos in the end because
oh my God.
Man, I got something to talk about with that.
So it works.
Yep.
Jon gets resurrected.
After the wildlings step in to...
Good point. Yeah, the wildlings step in. They kind of hold off the attack from Alistair Thorne. Yep. They get captured. One the giant breaks down the gate. Yeah, he grabs the dude and just slams the dude in the side of the tower.
The guy shoots him with an arrow. It's just you're an idiot.
One the giant is amazing. So yeah, the wildlings come in, save the day. Jon gets resurrected. And again, another great scene with Davos. Jon comes back and Davos is like, whoa, hold on, kind of holding him and keeping him upright. Jon's like, what is going on? I shouldn't be here, which I really like.
Yeah, he doesn't like the idea that he's back.
Right. Jon feels like he should be dead. He knows that he's dead. And that other great moment where Melisandre asks him, what did you see? What was beyond?
Right. He's like, nothing.
He's like, I didn't see anything.
That's another big thing about this season is her faith is consistently shaken.
Yeah. Melisandre is very much now...
She's broken.
Yeah, she's shaken up. She doesn't know exactly what's going on. She was sure that Stannis Baratheon was the reincarnation of Azor Ahai, who is the legendary warrior of R'hllor, the Lord of Light, god that she worships. And of course, Stannis dies at the end of the 5th season.
Yep.
So that's not the case.
At the hands of, what's the dude's name from
Brienne
Star
of
Tarth?
Captain Phasma.
Yeah. Captain Phasma steps in and takes care of him.
Captain Phasma steps in, Boba Fett, they high five.
Yep.
They're
we had the same amount of lines.
Total 3 minutes of screen time. Yeah.
Best character. Posters, toys.
Jon's back. And then Davos, again, great line where he's, look, this is fucked. I don't get any of this. There's got to be a reason that you're back. Jon's like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I already failed once. And Davos is like, you need to fail again if you have to.
It comes to one of the best scenes from that episode, which is when he goes outside. Everyone's like, ah! And of course, he executes the 4 people that were in charge of kind of the uprising, including that little bitch, Ollie.
Including the little kid.
Yep. Which I thought was intense. I actually thought for a while there he might have cut his rope or something. But then I constantly, every time I see that, I'm like, well, no, because... It goes back to that first scene with Eddard Stark in scene 1 where Bran goes to watch.
Yeah. And Eddard executes the guy who abandoned the Night's Watch.
Right. And he comes up to him and he says, do you know why I did this?
The man who casts a sentence should swing the sword.
Right.
Yes.
Great scene.
It's so good.
And it carries over into Jon Snow into this scene, which is he could forgive these guys. He could, he could understand where they're coming from, anything, but that's not the right way. These guys wronged him.
Right. It is what it is.
The best part is he does this. He turns to, what's the guy's name?
Dollar said.
Puts his coat over him, and he's like, congratulations, Lord Commander. My watch is over. And just walks out.
Yeah, my watch is ended, and just leaves.
He's done.
Yeah, he's done with the Night's Watch. You serve until you die, and he died.
And his whole thing, leading up to this moment where he keeps on saying, they stabbed me. He remembers it. It's not that he, wakes up, doesn't remember anything about his death. He felt all of it, and he still feels it now.
Yeah, and again, we still haven't seen all of the consequences of his resurrection. We get some lip service from Melisandre saying, R'hllor has a plan. He brought you back to life. I don't know what his plan is. I'm just one of his agents. Kind of going back to her being shaken in the faith. She still believes in the Lord of Light, but at this point she's kind of I'm not super sure of anything. The only thing I'm sure of is that he brought you back for a reason.
We got to find out what it is, and I'm going to be there when you do.
And I'm here to help you in any way that I can.
Right. Jon eventually meets up with Sansa, being escorted by Brianna Tarth and Podrick, who I completely forgot about.
Podrick Payne.
I thought it was Gendry. I was like, hey, Gendry's here. And it was like, nope, that's Podrick.
Right.
Wrong.
Because, of course, Sansa escaped with the help of Theon Greyjoy from Winterfell.
Right.
She was being held by Ramsay Bolton.
Ramsay's people catch up to him, but luckily Brienne swoops in and saves her. At that point, Theon says, look, I have to go.
Right.
I have to go back to the Iron Isles.
He knows his place is not at the Wall because Jon, who he believes is still Lord Commander at this point, will have every reason to execute him.
Right, which absolutely.
Yeah, so he's just like, now that they're here, now that Brienne and Pod are here, they're going to protect you much more than I ever could.
Right.
If I had to, I would take you to the Wall and just suffer the consequences. But now that they're here, I'm going to peace out.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a great reunion of Jon and Sansa.
Which was really, that kind of shook me up because it was like, this is the first time that two Starks have been together
in an
incredibly long time.
Yeah, in a long time. And even in the first season, it was made clear Sansa and Jon didn't super get along with each other. Like, Sansa always kind of looked down upon Jon because he was a bastard.
Well, and she
very similar to Catelyn.
Yeah, she idolized her mother.
Yes.
And when Catelyn treats Jon like crap, Sansa's going to be like, well,
right. But
that's what we should do.
There's this great moment where they see each other and they hug, and it's like, you as the audience member, you're just like, yes, finally, things are going the Starks' way.
It doesn't last long.
No, it never does.
Well, and there's just a lot of good dialogue between the two of them where you can tell they've both grown up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's just like, look, I treated you like crap.
Right, and she's been through the ringer, obviously. She was essentially sold to the Boltons by Littlefinger.
After being sold to Joffrey.
Right, essentially, yeah. Sansa's really been through the ringer, and obviously readers of the books will know that this part's significantly different in the book as far as where Sansa is in the storyline. Again, for the television show purposes, she's been through a lot of shit.
Yeah. We then get another really great scene that I really like. Baelish finds out that Sansa is now at the Wall and no longer in Winterfell, you know, and he kind of puts two and two together that he's going to go see her. And he's going to do his creepy little uncle thing.
Right, yeah. So Littlefinger goes to meet Sansa.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a secret meeting that Jon doesn't know about.
Yeah. It's really great because I was kind of like, Sansa's always been very passive. She's always, like, she doesn't stand up for herself. She very rarely, like, ever says anything. Even, like, she used to drive me nuts when she was with Joffrey, and every chance that she got to leave, she never took it. Like, she was constantly like, I'm loyal to King Joffrey. No, this moment, she gets in that barn, and she's like, did you know about Ramsay? I bet you did. You sold me to him. He raped me. And it's just like, she's just like laying it on the line. And she's like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And I wish, though, in this scene, because as we're going to get into here in a second, Sansa is portrayed as clearly not still trusting Jon as much as she should.
Right.
There's a line from Littlefinger where he says something to the effect of, well, he's your half-brother. Like, he's still just a bastard. Right. And I wish we would have gotten a little more of doubt from Sansa's point of view shown to the audience, because coming up, obviously, Jon and Sansa and Davos have to essentially go around the north trying to round up the lords of the north
the different houses.
Yeah, to fight against Ramsay Bolton, because they want to take back Winterfell, because as it's revealed, Ramsay has Rickon, the youngest Stark brother.
Yeah, they capture both Osha and Rickon.
Correct.
Which we do get a scene where Osha attempts to kill Ramsay. And the biggest thing, the challenge that Jon knows going around to these houses is that these houses just lost a ton of men because his older brother Robb approached them and they fought against the Lannisters and they lost. Right,
because so many northern men were killed during the events of the third season, during the Red Wedding and the battles against the Lannister armies.
Right.
Yeah, there's been a lot of losses within, as far as the timeline of the show is concerned, within the last year, 2 years. And the Northern Lords are very hesitant to help, with one exception, Lady Lyanna Mormont.
Who is a total BAMF.
From Bear Island.
Yes.
So she is related to Jorah Mormont, the old Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. And
who was Jon's mentor when he got there.
Correct. And she's also then related to Jorah Mormont.
Right, who is suffering from grayscale.
Yeah, he's suffering from grayscale in this. They've kind of amalgamated him with another character from the book named Jon Connington. But I think that's a
theme of the season?
Yeah, that's a part of the books where they've heavily cut stuff. And, like, again, it's the TV show. It is what it is.
Right.
I'm on board, I guess.
They eventually do rally a somewhat big army, not a lot.
So it's Jon, the Wildlings, and then a few men from a couple of different northern houses. Right. And they are going to march upon Winterfell.
Yes.
Which is exactly what Stannis did at the end of the last season. And along the way, Davos my man Davos, he finds the burned stag figurine. So now Davos is aware that in the previous season, Melisandre, the Red Woman, burned Princess Shireen, Stannis' daughter.
Right, which is Davos's almost like a daughter.
Yeah, he kind of sees her like a daughter, like he's always clearly cared for her throughout the entire show.
Right, because her parents don't.
Yeah, she was teaching him how to read. Like, obviously there was a bond between them. Yes. So when he finds the burnt stag that he made for her, he knows what happened. He knows Melisandre burned Shireen at the stake, and the battle still has to happen.
Right, so he kind of puts that in the back of his head. It does pay off eventually. But we do get I do really like the scene with Melisandre in episode 9.
Yes.
When Jon comes to her, and he's like, look, if I die, leave me dead. Do not bring, like, he's essentially saying, don't bring me back, no matter what. And she's like, well, if it's what the Lord of Light wants, I have to do it.
Well, it's not up to you. This is not your call. Like, if the Lord of Light wills it, that's what will happen.
Right, she has to do it.
And then she has this great line, which mirrors a line that just happened a few scenes ago, where Sansa and Jon are arguing because Sansa's like, look, we need more men. We don't have enough men to take out Ramsay. Ramsay's not an idiot.
Right.
And Jon's like, what do you want me to do? There's no other men. And this is kind of the point of contention that I have, because Sansa knows about the Knights of the Vale, who are now controlled by Littlefinger.
Yep.
And
that little brat.
I think it's shown that she writes a letter to try and get them to come. She also writes a letter to try and get Brendan the Blackfish to come, who we'll get into when we get to like Jaime and his story.
She gives it to Brienne Tarth and has her run down.
Deliver the message. She could say, hey, look, the Knights of the Vale, I can get them here. I just don't know when. But she doesn't. She doesn't trust it. Yeah, she doesn't trust Jon enough to tell him. And again, I do have a few problems with this season, and this is kind of one of them where I don't mind that Sansa didn't tell Jon. I just wish that we as the audience got a little more
of why she would.
Yeah, evidence or screen time devoted to why is she not telling him?
It's out of character with how close they're getting over this. I mean, they do bicker a little bit over like strategy and stuff, which is very reminiscent of Catelyn and Robb. But whereas Catelyn's motive was a mother who knows war, has seen it before, and is experienced arguing with her still child son. This is two siblings who are maybe separated by like a couple years, bickering over something that one has no experience in, and the other has very little, but still some.
And then Jon says, look, this is the army that we have, and we have to work with what we have.
Right.
Which mirrors the line that Melisandre tells Jon when he says, don't bring me back. I have to, it's not up to me. Jon goes, what kind of god would let all of this happen and bring me back to life just to be his plaything? And Melisandre says, the god that we have.
Yep.
It's the one we've got. Sansa is aware of who Ramsay is. Jon even asks her, like, okay, tell me all you can. Like, what do you want me to do? And she's like,
what do I need to expect?
She's like, I don't know. She's like, just don't, you can't trust him, but like, I don't know.
He likes to play a game.
Right. She could have clearly just said, look, Knights of the Vale, I don't know where they are, but we can get them. Doesn't say anything.
Or even something like, look, Ramsay's going to pull something. He's going to do some shit.
And she kind of does that. She kind of says, you're going to have to like not play into his hands.
Right.
And of course, the next morning, that's exactly what happens.
Yes, which he does. He immediately plays into his hand.
Right. The armies line up. Ramsay Bolton brings out little Rickon Stark.
Yep. And then he turns to him and he goes, we're going to play a little game.
Yep.
Cuts him free and he goes, go talk to your brother. Go see your brother. But remember, you got to run. And like he starts, and immediately we're all like, we know what's going to happen.
Sure.
We've seen this in the past. He did that, I think, in one of the first times we meet him.
Yeah.
He's shooting someone with a bow.
He hunts people, yes.
Yeah, so he takes out his bow.
The most dangerous game. Little Stark children.
Ramsay essentially takes out his bow, fires clearly like a couple fake shots.
Yes, he misses on purpose, yeah.
To give both, I think, the viewer some hope, but also more so to draw Jon out of his strategy.
Right. Jon gets on his horse, rides out by himself into the middle of the battlefield to try and save Rickon.
Yep.
And of course, right before he gets there, shunk!
An arrow just goes straight through his chest.
And Rickon Stark is dead.
Yes. I wasn't super surprised. I kind of figured as soon as Osha shows up in that room, I kind of knew Rickon was dead.
Yeah.
It was still rough.
Yes. And then we get the Battle of the Bastards in episode 9.
Yes.
And this episode is fucking awesome.
It is. It is directed by the same guy that directed Hardhome.
Yeah. Jon is in the middle of the battlefield, and the Bolton cavalry is charging towards him.
Right.
And Jon's like, okay, and he takes off his scabbard, and he draws his sword, and he's just standing there, and this shot just holds.
As he's like prepping for this wall to hit
he's just waiting to get there, and the cavalry's charging, and right before they hit him, his cavalry comes in and boom, and it's just they
smash
into each other. This is so great because we've had a lot of movies where armies charge at each other on horseback, but this was one of the first times that I can remember where it was just super visceral, and you felt the impact of those horses running into each other and this battle starting.
Yeah, and it wasn't graceful. It wasn't like people swooping around and stuff like that.
It's not.
It was brutal. It was like, they just slam into each other.
People are getting destroyed.
Right.
And then there's that, again, the long take that's following John as
the
he's
giant
going,
one shot.
Yeah, just the one continuous shot of him going down the battlefield and just killing one guy and then dodging arrows, and then
that arrow shot was glorious.
And then he sees like one of his guys and he's like, "You did a good job," and then and that guy just gets taken down, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
And this battle goes on, and then Davos, he's with the archers in the back, and he's like, "We can't fire. We'll just hit our own men." And then you get Ramsay on the other side.
He's like, "Go."
He's
fire.
like, "Fuck it, just fire. Like, it doesn't matter." The bodies are just piling up, and it's just massive bloodbath. And Davos finally charges in with his men.
Mm-hmm.
Then as the battle's like, it's winding down, and then Ramsay's forces go in like a phalanx
and they
surround with like a pincer attack, and they have the shields and the spears, and it's frightening. Like it's intense.
Well, and you get the feeling, you get this true vibe that you're in there with them, and there is no penetrating this wall.
And then John gets knocked down, and he's literally being trampled by people running, and he can't breathe. And
that
it's
was
just
done really well too, because you're like,
oh my god,
you're like seeing his head slightly through all this mud and like clothing, and it just keep on pushing it down, and it comes back up.
And it's just all blood and dirt and mud and grime, and just it feels so intense and it feels so visceral. Like you said, we're in the middle of that battle.
Right.
And then, of course, just as all hope is lost, the Knights of the Vale show up.
Yep.
Charge in, and their horses just destroy the rest of Ramsay Bolton's forces. Ramsay retreats. John, Tormund Giantsbane, and One the Giant charge after him.
Just the three of them.
Ramsay gets back into the gates of Winterfell and tells the guy, like, "All right, we've taken out their army."
Right,
the guy's like, "They took out our army. Like, we don't have an army either." And One, boom, busts down the gate.
Down the gate.
And John and Tormund come in, and the wildlings are behind him, just start murking everybody.
Earlier in this episode, John offers Ramsay this kind of easy fix. He's like, "Hey, not all these people have to die. Let's just do one-on-one.
Right.
We'll settle this here." And Ramsay's like, "You know what? I've reconsidered your offer. Let's do one-on-one." Typical. He's a coward, but he knows that he can best Jon Snow in archery, and that's kind of what he does. He calls a one-on-one. They're on opposite sides of like a court field, and Ramsay just takes an arrow, and what we get is this really intense scene of Ramsay just knocking arrows and shooting at Jon, while Jon is just having them pierce like inches from his face.
Blocking him with a wooden shield, John just goes apeshit when he gets up to him. He just pummels him into the dirt. Just very, one after another.
Very Captain America Civil War with that shield where he just hits him with it.
Bam, 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 bam. And then Sansa apparently teleports in.
Yeah, she's like, "Hey, I'm here."
And then John, he holds off. And then, of course, we get the scene where they tie up Ramsay and they put him in the cage with the dogs. Yep. And Sansa has the great moment where it says, "You said yourself you haven't fed him in 7 days."
Right.
And Ramsay's own dogs.
See how honor. It reminds me of what is the line where it's, "Let's see how honorable a hungry dog is."
Yeah.
Oh, Stark Knight.
Yeah, how loyal.
How loyal your pooches are.
Yeah. So it's just fantastic. Of
Wonderful
course,
shot of the banner too. Coming down.
Yeah. The Stark banner unfurls, and it's just like, yes. So now Jon and Sansa are back in Winterfell along with Davos and Melisandre. And then Davos finally confronts Melisandre.
Yeah, and we get this beautiful scene. And it's very well set up, too, because it kind of starts very somber where Jon's looking at the table and he's like,
I used to sit down there. My family set up here. And I was always had to be away from my family because I was the bastard.
Right.
And Melisandre says, yeah, but you had a family. You had somebody looking out for you, because Melisandre was essentially a slave.
Right, she plays this total guilt card.
Right, until she got out of a shy.
Typical Melisandre.
And then Davos bursts in.
Right, and he just
with the burnt stag.
Straight up there.
And he's like, tell him what you did.
And this scene's just rough because, like we said, this was kind of his daughter. And he even says that.
Liam Cunningham gets some acting chops here where he's just like, she was like a daughter to me. And you can see the tears in his eyes.
She
and
was nice, she was good, and you killed her.
Right.
And it's just like, Jesus, he lays it all out. But then he also has this other really great line where he says, "Yeah, and you were wrong about Stannis. how many other people died because you were wrong?
Yep.
And and that really goes back to the first episode with how old she is. That is a wonderful question. How many other people has she seen as this prophet, and people have died for this quote-unquote prophet?
Sure.
And then she's wrong.
Right. And then so she admits to John, like, yes, this is what I did, but look, I brought you back. I'm clearly supposed to be here. You know I can help you.
Well, because Davos is like, she needs to be hung for her crimes.
She needs to die. And John says, leave and never come back. And then Davos
gets the last word. It's like, if you come back north, I'll execute you myself.
Yep. And then Melisandre rides off into the sunset.
Right. And that's it for...
We'll see what happens. So meanwhile, across the sea... in the city of Braavos, Arya, at the end of season 5... went blind.
Right, because she wrongly used the no-face god stuff to go and kill someone that she personally wanted dead. No one had asked for it.
Right. Arya killed Sir Meryn Trent.
Finally! Who's a total piece of shit.
Right, while she was supposed to be on a mission to kill somebody else.
Right.
So Jaqen punishes her by making her go blind.
Yes.
And every day she's out on the streets, she's begging for food, she's begging for money, and the waif, the other girl that she's been training with, comes and beats the shit out of her on the streets.
Staff every day.
Right. Jaqen Hagar shows up and says,
tell me your name. If you tell me your name, I'll give you food. If you tell me your name, I will give you, I think you also shelter.
Yeah.
And then the last one is, if you tell me your name, I will give you your eyes back.
Right.
And she pauses and kind of holds on, and she's like, a girl has no name.
Right. And so Jaqen welcomes her back into the House of Black and White. She has given her eyesight back.
Right. And she's given a second chance, and there will not be a third.
So she's tasked with killing this actress.
Yep.
She goes to see a play that kind of retells the events of Joffrey's death from season 4.
Yeah, it's like a very like Adam Sandler play where like everyone's like making fart sounds. And
right,
stuff like
but
that.
it's like Shakespeare meets but it's like a comedic version type of thing, because the actress lady that she's supposed to kill is obviously very good and really takes it seriously.
Right. She's kind of like, I don't know if she's not the theater head, but she's clearly like been part of this troupe for a very, very long time.
Yeah, she's the big star that everybody really likes.
And she plays Cersei Lannister's.
Right. And this is really great because Arya kind of gets to see the events from another perspective, and the play really portrays Eddard Stark, her father, as this kind of bumbling fool, and she also kind of makes the realization that in the play, Cersei really cared for Joffrey, even though Joffrey was a little piece of shit.
He was my favorite character.
Yeah. But he was still her child, and Arya kind of makes that realization and ultimately decides that she can't kill her.
Right.
So she abandons the job she's supposed to do, saves the woman's life.
Yeah, but oddly enough, the really cool thing that happens with this is she kind of deduces and finds out that the person that has requested this woman's death is the actress playing Sansa, to which point she goes back, she tells Jaqen Hagar, like, so why are we killing this person? Because she's really good, and Jaqen has this wonderful line, does death only come for the wicked?
Yes.
It kind of shows that Arya is combative still to this idea of just blindly killing whatever the no-face god says.
Yeah, she spent 2 seasons trying to become no one, but
she still has this big hold on what Eddard Stark taught her.
Right, as we all know deep down, she is still Arya Stark. So she abandons the job. Jaqen basically sends the waif after her and tells her, kill her quickly, let there be no suffering. Right. And of course, the waif, who clearly hates Arya, catches up to her, stabs her in the gut, and Arya jumps off the bridge, gets away. And this is another point in the season where I really had an issue because we've spent a lot of time watching Arya train, and she clearly knows what she's doing at this point.
Right.
She is going down the streets of Braavos. She's throwing money around like, hey, I need to be taken back to Westeros. And at first I thought, okay, this is just a setup to try and draw the waif out. I would have really just liked 1 or 2 shots, like just really quick things of like Arya like looking around, her eyes darting. So it's clear to the audience, okay, she's looking for trouble. She knows something's coming. Nope, she's just like completely blindsided.
She even kind of like, when the waif does attack her, she even does look at her because she's dressed as an old woman when it happens. Right. And she, like, Arya looks at the waif kind of like, I don't trust this. And then, you shouldn't have.
Yeah, I think that there was the potential for a little bit better editing to convey what was going on in that scene. Anyway, minor point.
Yeah.
So Arya gets away, hides out with the actress for a while as she's recovering. The waif finds her, kills the actress, chases Arya through the streets. We get this great moment where Arya runs into an alley, pulls out Needle, her trusty old sword.
Yep.
Yeah, and the candle's there, and the waif comes in, and Arya takes a sword and just cuts the candle and the lights go out.
Yep.
We go back to the House of Black and White, and there's just a trail of blood that Jaqen Hagar is following, and there's the waif's face, bloody, the eyes cut out.
Yep.
Her face has been removed, and Arya's standing there. Jaqen says, all right, a girl is finally no one. You've completed your training. She's like, nope.
She pulls the needle out towards Jaqen and just goes,
a girl
is Arya Stark, and I'm going home.
So she walks off, and it's this really gratifying moment because the Arya storyline, I think they were really spinning their wheels for a while.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know exactly where they needed to go with Arya. Again, at this point, the source material, the books, aren't finished yet. They're not completely there.
Right.
So we're kind of in no man's land. And as much as I liked a lot of aspects about that storyline, it definitely dragged on.
Well, and it's kind of weird that they did that with Arya, but they didn't do it with Bran.
Yeah, because in season 5, Bran is completely absent
from the entire series. So it's a little strange that they felt that they needed to put Arya Stark in.
I think Arya is a fan favorite, so you can't have a full season without Maisie Williams running around stabbing people. No, people wouldn't like that. So also in Essos, but in a totally different part of town, we have the Eastern Continent. For those of you who don't know, I guess. We have Daenerys, who at the end of season 5 was captured by the Khal of Blood Riders.
The big group of Dothraki.
Yes, exactly. So she's taken to Vaes Dothrak, which is the city where all of the wives of the previous Khals go, and they essentially become the Dosh Khaleen.
Yeah, which is
the old ladies
like a council.
Yeah. But for all intents and purposes, it's a retirement home
for
people they don't want to deal with anymore. Daenerys, being Daenerys, knows that she's Targaryen and immune to fire, so she sets up a situation where she gathers all the Khals in one room and says, I'm the mother of dragons, I'm going to take over, and burns the building to the ground with all of them inside.
Which is fantastic. She essentially does exactly what she says.
Yes.
She walks out the door and they follow her.
And it's very reminiscent of season 1, where she burns the pyre with Khal Drogo, and she emerges from the flames and the dragons have hatched. She emerges from this building, killing all of the Khals, and the entire Dothraki horde bows down to her.
Right.
And Jorah Mormont and Daario Naharis show up kind of just in time to see she is the mother of dragons. She's the queen of the Dothraki. Shit's going down.
Yeah, because they had shown up earlier to try to rescue her. And that's when she's like, nope.
I've got this.
Don't worry.
And that was a really great moment because I kind of assumed that Drogon, the dragon, would come in and save the day.
Right.
And I was really happy that they let Daenerys kind of
do something on her own.
Yeah,
she figured something out.
Yep, she did it herself. She was the one who rescued herself. She didn't rely on anybody else. I thought that was a really great moment.
Yeah, because that is a big problem with her character. Because I know a lot of people will probably get pissed at this, but I'm not a huge fan of Daenerys. She's gotten a lot better in this past season. But I think for seasons, I would almost say 2 through 4 or even 5, she didn't really do too much that impressed me.
Well, she makes a lot of decisions because she's dealing with a lot of stuff, obviously, and she's young.
Yes, and that's very apparent through most of her actions.
Yeah, and she has, Jorah as her advisor, and she has, Grey Worm and Missandei and
Daario.
At the very end of last both Darios. Transporter Daario and Daario.
Right.
So
Daario.
And then at the very end of season 5, of course, Tyrion. And this season makes it very clear, once Daenerys gets back to Meereen and they're reunited, that Tyrion is clearly there to help her do everything she wants to do.
Right.
Tyrion, back in Meereen, makes a deal with the slavers, the masters, that we'll let you keep slavery for 7 years, but then it's going to be abolished.
They're going to slowly start to work it out of their systems.
You need to work towards abolishing slavery, and the masters agree, but of course the masters betray Tyrion and send their ships to Meereen, start launching catapults onto the Great Pyramid of the city. Shit's going down. And again, just in the nick of time, Daenerys arrives on Drogon.
Right.
And basically...
and even earlier in the season, we get a shot where Tyrion goes down and he unlocks and frees the other 2 dragons that have been locked in the base of the pyramid.
Basically unlocks the chains on Viserion
Green
and Rhaegal.
And brownish.
Viserion, Rhaegal, and Drogon. Those are the 3 dragons. Why are they the 3 dragons?
Because 3 little pigs.
So, little minor point. Drogon is named after Khal Drogo.
Right.
Rhaegal is named after Rhaegar, Daenerys' older brother, who's going to become very important here in a minute. And then Viserion is named after Viserys.
The piece of shit.
Who was her piece of shit older brother, who got the crown of gold in season 1. So Daenerys arrives, dragons show up. She tries to make a deal with the Masters. Look, you can surrender to me now.
Right.
Or shit's going to hit the fan. The Masters like, oh, what are you going to do? The dragons show up, burn down one of the ships.
Just begun.
Yep.
And we get that really cool scene where Tyrion says, look, my queen needs to make a statement, so she's got to kill one of you. Grey Worm walks up, just slits the 2 guys' throats and leaves the 1 guy left.
Yeah, and Tyrion is like, go back to your friends and tell them that Daenerys is the mother of dragons and the queen.
Yeah, she spared you.
Remember she spared you. Remember that for future days.
In all his eyeliner.
Of course.
It's like 10 pounds of eyeliner.
And Varys takes off from Marine to go on a secret mission, which is revealed that he's going to meet up with...
Dorne.
Yeah, he's going to go to Alaria Sand.
Yep.
Prince Oberyn's mistress, who, at the beginning of the season, kills Prince Doran.
Ruins everything.
And Prince Trystane.
And
Arya Hota.
And...
somebody else.
Their daughter, Jaime.
Oh, Marcella.
Yes.
Well, Marcella kind of died at the end of season 5, so yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, for anyone who's read the books, the Dorne storyline is all sorts of fucked from what actually happens in the books.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, so season 5, the whole Dorne thing. Look, if you've read the books, it's not great by comparison, but hey, it's what we got.
It feels like a Hollywood movie in season 5 when it's like, we gotta go rescue my daughter.
Right, and in season 6, I think they were just like, we have to clean up Dorne. We have to get rid of Prince Doran, Prince Trystane. Like, we gotta the law of conservation of characters here. We gotta just kind of narrow the focus on what's going on.
Yep.
Varys strikes a deal with the Martells and the Tyrells.
Which we'll get to in a little bit.
We'll get to, but they're all allied together.
So earlier we talked about Theon Greyjoy saying he has to go back home. So we get this scene at the Iron Isles where Yara, is it Yara or Yara?
Yara. It's in the show. It's Yara.
Okay.
In the book, it's Asha.
Okay.
So side note, sorry.
Yeah.
So in the show, it's Yara. In the book, it's Asha, Theon's sister.
Why?
The reason they did it that way is because in the first season we got Osha, the wildling woman, and so by the time they got to season 2, they were like, well, we don't want to make this character named Asha and confuse people. Now, of course, Asha is a much bigger character than Osha is, but they had already named Osha, so they changed Asha's name to Yara in the show. So it's Yara Greyjoy, Theon's sister.
Yes. So Theon's going back to the Iron Isles. We get a scene where Yara is arguing with her father,
Balon Greyjoy.
Right, who's the head of the Greyjoy family.
Yes, he's the quote-unquote Lord of the Iron Islands.
Yep, they're kind of arguing about their placement in the war, their dealings with Winterfell, stuff like that. And
Balon's brother, Euron Greyjoy, shows up.
And they meet on the most
ricketiest
designed bridge ever.
The most rickety of bridges.
Over giant spire rocks
at the bottom. Temple of Doom bridge, for sure.
Yeah, it's the Phantom Bridge.
The truck.
So it's a battle of uncle versus father, and wouldn't you know it, the guy who's got like 40 plus years in the other one. The Iron Isles are without a king. Theon shows up, and he argues with Yara that, look, you know these people, you are, part of the royal family, you need to be the queen of the Iron Isles.
Yara needs to be the ruler of the Iron Islands because Theon knows that he doesn't deserve it.
Right. He's been destroyed at this point. They've seen what he does when he is put in charge, and he doesn't like it.
So the people of the Iron Islands call a King's Moot, which is a council. Everybody gets together. It's kind of the most democratic thing in Westeros, actually.
It's like, who wants to be the king? And it's like, I'll be the king.
Right. So Yara...
All those say I...
Yep. Yara speaks up and says, I should rule the Iron Islands because I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to make this place great again. We're going to make Pike great again.
Yes. She's got her little red ball cap on and everything.
And Euron Greyjoy shows up.
Yeah, and I have a problem with this scene. Because, they know Yara. They know her good work. Yeah, she's got Theon standing next to her, which probably does dampen, her energy a little bit. But then her uncle shows up and literally just goes, she ain't got no dick. And they win.
No,
that's it.
Specifically, Euron says, I have a plan to make the Iron Islands great again.
Right, he's going to go
I'm going to sail
Daenerys
to Essos, and I'm going to marry Daenerys, the Queen of Dragons.
That's all he says.
And we are going to take back Westeros for the Iron Islands.
You got to quote him.
So, what is he?
He's just like, I'm going to go give her my cock. And it's like, oh, great. This guy's a great leader.
Well, that's Euron.
He says, here's his 2 argument points can be bullet points. It's... Yara doesn't have a dick. I'm going to give Daenerys Stormborn my giant cock. Those are his 2 points.
We got to remember who you're dealing with. It's the Iron Islanders. They're all like, they're all like, yeah, we're gonna get the Dragon Queen and we're gonna take everything over. So he convinces everyone. So Theon and Yara hightail it out of there.
Well, and then they drown him.
So Euron is made king of the Iron Islands by the drowning ceremony.
Right, which is where they literally drown you and then take you out.
Correct.
And, you have to come back.
Because, of course, the Iron Islanders pray to the drown god.
Yes.
So you have to be drowned
before
you can be brought back. And then Euron is like, where's my niece and nephew? Let's go murder them. And, of course, Yara and Theon have stolen all of the ships.
Yep.
And Euron commands his men, all right, let's start building some more ships.
Right.
Which will obviously come into play later on.
Yep. So Theon and Yara argue a little bit here and there throughout their journey that we see where she's trying to rebuild his confidence, which is great. There's a really good brother-sister motif that's thrown in there. But this is another thing I kind of have a problem with the season, where the season felt a little rushed. They just kind of show up in Meereen.
Yeah, they just appear in the audience chamber with Daenerys. And again, they got to move things along.
Right.
But ultimately, Yara offers to Daenerys, we'll ally with you. We've brought you ships. If you help us take back the Iron Islands when we get there, and I can rule the Iron Islands when all's said and done. And Daenerys is like, why don't I just ally myself with your uncle?
Right.
And she's like, well, you could, but like you said, he just wants to give you his penis.
Yep.
and there's some, because in the show they've portrayed Yara as a lesbian, and there's kind of some good interplay with Daenerys and Yara. Tension. Yeah, there's a couple really good lines and some innuendos.
But there's also a really great line where Daenerys says, both of our fathers were horrible men. Mm-hmm. Let's fix this.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's this great line where Yara's got the gall to go up there and be like, hey, your dad was a horrible person, but so was mine.
Yep.
And it's this really good bonding moment over terrible parents.
So the Daenerys storyline ends with Daenerys reunited with Tyrion, who there's a really good scene in the last episode between Tyrion and Daenerys.
Yes.
Where Tyrion basically explains, I'm with you now and always. Daenerys has to give up her relationship with Daario Naharis.
Right.
Jorah, a few episodes ago, also gets sent off because it's revealed that he has grayscale, and Daenerys commands him to see if he can find a cure for it.
You have to go find a cure and come back to me.
Yep. So the season ends with a Daenerys storyline with her sailing with Tyrion, Varys, and the ships.
Teleports back to Meereen.
Yeah, Varys. He's in Dorne talking to the Martells and the Tyrells.
And then 5 minutes later.
And 20 minutes later, he's back in Essos again. That was just poor editing. I really didn't like that. But whatever. So Daenerys is sailing off with Tyrion, Varys, all the Iron Islanders, the Tyrells, the Martells, the Unsullied, the Dothraki horde that she now controls. She's got an army.
3 dragons.
Yeah, 3 dragons. She's got an army. She's coming for Westeros.
Or is she? So at the end of Season 5, we see Cersei Lannister at her lowest point. She's been humiliated by the Faith after being imprisoned and forced to admit her guilt. Her hair is cut short, and she's paraded through the city as this whore queen who has done nothing but horrible things to its city.
Right, she takes the Walk of Atonement in that amazing sequence from Season 5.
Yeah, just the incredibly uncomfortable
So
scene.
good.
But now she has the Mountain, who is now a zombie monster thing.
Basically.
Made by Dr. Frankenstein, whose name is...
Qyburn.
Yep. And so she, in the end of Season 5, we leave her where she's just plotting. And, now is her turn to make the move. In Season 6, she is doing a lot of combatants against the Faith, leading up to her inevitable trial, which her plan is called Trial by Combat. She's going to have the Mountain step in. He's going to destroy whoever they put up against him. But she also has to wrangle her son, who's now King Tommen of everything, I guess. Just King Tommen.
First of his name.
Yes. We get a really, really good scene in the start of Season 6. Jaime returns from Dorne with the bad news that, hey, our daughter Marcella has died. And we get this incredibly powerful scene where it's the two of them kind of she's in a horrible state, and he's just like, look, we're going to take it all back. We're going to go back. It's our time. The Lannisters will...
We are the only 2 people in this world. Nothing else matters. We're going to take everything that they took from us back and more.
Great. Amazing stuff. So she's going to work alongside the Tyrells, playing into their their desire to get both their daughter, the queen, Natalie Dormer,
Marjorie Tyrell,
out.
They also want to get Loras
Tyrell out as well.
Because Loras and Marjorie are still being held by the Faith inside the Sept.
So they devise this plan where Marjorie's going to have to do the same Walk of Atonement that Cersei had to do in the end of season 5. They're going to show up with the Tyrell army, and they're going to say, nope, they're going to take down the militant faith, and they're just going to take back the city and knock over the Pillar, knock over the High Sparrow, everything. But one of the big twists that happen is High Sparrow comes out, he's like, hey, look, no Walk of Atonement. Because, look at this, Tommen's on our side now.
The king is now allied with the faith. The crown and the faith are the two pillars that hold up everything. So everything is hunky-dory. And of course, Cersei's like,
shit. We get a lot of scenes between Cersei trying to talk Tommen and trying to figure out what his stance is on everything. Tommen kind of goes full bitch mode and essentially says to Jaime, he's like, look, we can't have you in the Kingsguard right now.
So because Jaime leads the charge on the Faith Militant at the Sept right before Marjorie's Walk of Atonement, Tommen removes him from the King's Guard. He went against the Faith, which now Tommen is a part of. So he tells Jaime, you will still serve the crown, but you won't serve the crown in King's Landing. So Tommen sends Jaime to the Riverlands to deal with Brendan the Blackfish, who is Sansa's great uncle, Catelyn's uncle.
We haven't seen him for a long time because he was on the run after the Red Wedding. When the Red Wedding happens, he bailed from the twins and just hightailed it out of there.
Yep, he escapes in the Red Wedding, and the Freys have been looking for him ever since. So he's managed to recapture the castle at Riverrun, and the Freys are none too happy about that.
Yeah, and that was actually, I gotta hand it to him. The show's not funny a lot in times because it doesn't want to be and it doesn't need to be, but man, the Freys are some good source of comedy. I gotta tell you, just the scene where the two brothers are standing there. Walder Frey's like, "You lost the castle. How did you lose the whole castle?"
Right. We get Walder Frey again for the first time since season 4. Yeah, from Harry Potter. So Jaime gets sent out to the Riverlands. Where he ends up dealing with the Blackfish problem,
as well as dealing with
Brienne of Tarth. Who shows up again.
And Podrick.
So Brienne is sent to Riverrun to try to negotiate with Brendan the Blackfish to have him come and help Sansa and Jon take back Winterfell. Jaime arrives in the scene where the Freys are hanging out outside the castle. Jaime attempts to negotiate with Brendan the Blackfish. Ultimately, he has to negotiate with Edmure Tully, Catelyn's brother, who he was the one who was married at the Red Wedding, and we haven't seen him. Yeah, we haven't seen him since season 3. He's been held by the Freys. He's in rough shape. And we have this great scene between Jaime and Edmure, where Edmure basically says, how do you live with yourself? Like, how do you sleep at night? You're such a terrible person. You've done all these terrible things. You're a kingslayer. You're incestuous. Like, what is wrong with you? And Jaime basically just says, look, I don't care what you think of me. Yeah, I love my sister. Who cares? You can either help me negotiate with Brendan and have him surrender the castle, and you can live out the rest of your days at Castle Rock. You'll be treated well as a nobleman. Your son will be raised to be able to fight and ride horses. Or I can slaughter every last Tully because I will do anything to get back to Cersei. That's the only thing that matters. So ultimately, Edmure agrees, successfully negotiates the surrender of Riverrun. Everybody's happy, except the Blackfish, who fights to the end and is killed. So Brienne and Podrick escape. Jaime waves them goodbye, lets them leave.
They're immediately attacked by sharks.
Now that Jaime has successfully taken back Riverrun for the Freys, he and Walder Frey sit down to dinner, and Walder Frey and Jaime have a conversation where basically at the end, Jaime says, you know what? Every time that something happens, the Lannisters have to come out to save the Freys. Why do we really need you? And kind of storms off.
And Walder Frey's like, don't talk to me, you young man.
Walder Frey, and then the next scene is sitting alone by himself, eating away, and we have this woman come in who's serving him food.
And he's like, you're not one of mine.
Where are my sons? Have them come in here. And the woman says,
well, they're right here.
Oh, they're already here, my lord. He's like, where? I don't see them. He's eating them in the pie.
It's Sweeney Todd time.
Lo and behold, the face comes off, and it is Arya Stark. Ready for revenge, slits Walder Frey's throat. The last thing that you will see is the face of a smiling Stark. And it's so satisfying.
Well, it comes out of nowhere.
Yes,
I did not expect it.
They always have the previously on Game of Thrones, and they always set everything up.
Which kind of ruins some of the twists.
Sometimes. But we don't get anything about Arya. So when, she's not earlier in the episode, she's not in the previously on. So when she comes out and murders Walder Frey, it's out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jaime is taking the Lannister army back towards King's Landing.
So Lady Marjorie at one point hints towards her grandmother that she is still full on aware of what's going on. She's still loyal to the Tyrell family. You need to get out of the city now.
Right. Marjorie's kind of playing up her loyalty to the faith, but
Yes.
we, the audience, and Lady Olenna find out, no, she still is loyal to the Tyrell household.
Right. Which we then get an even worse scene, which pushes towards our final conflict, which is Cersei is observing kind of like a council meeting in the Iron Throne room where Tommen declares, from now on, there will be no more trial by combat. Everything is going to be back to the way it was.
Which is obviously a huge wrench in Cersei's gear, since she was
She
relying
was going to lose that no matter what.
She was relying on the Mountain, winning the trial by combat and her being declared innocent.
Right. Finally, on the day of the trial, we get the whole episode starts up very beautifully. It shows the meticulousness of everyone setting up. We have the trial of Loras, where he admits all of his sins and joins the faith, gets a nice little tattoo on his forehead. And Marjorie all of a sudden realizes, well, hold on a second, Cersei's not here. We cut back to the Red Keep, where Tommen is about to head out to go see the trial, and he's stopped by the mountain. And this is where we both talked about where we knew something was going on, and something's going to happen. Marjorie realizes something's happening, and she's trying to convince the High Sparrow that we need to get out of here. Marjorie turns out completely correct. The wildfire that we see in the Castle Siege episode from Season 2 has been nested underneath the sept, and it's set to blow, and man does it. It erupts, and the entire building is gone. Everyone inside gone. Marjorie gone. The High Sparrow gone. Loras gone. Everyone is wiped out instantly.
Yeah, Kevin Lannister, Mace Tyrell, Lancel, like so many characters immediately dead.
They're gone. And kind of as like a little bow on this, the wonderful way that this ends is it just cuts to Tommen, who sees the destruction out a window on the top of his tower, and he's just sitting at an open window, and he just walks out it, and he kills himself.
He dies.
And there's no music. There's no like, oh my gosh. It's just a very somber.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot because the camera angle holds on the window. So we're kind of seeing things from the city's perspective. The scene is not focused on Tommen. It's focused on King's Landing and the destruction at hand.
He even walks out of frame, and we sit there for a while, and he just walks in and
it's
just
almost
keeps
like
going.
A background moment where he just says, you know what, that's it.
And we get a very uncharacteristic response from Cersei when she sees Tommen's body, and it's almost like she's already dead to it.
Yeah, she's very numb, and this really plays into the prophecy that we see at the very beginning of Season 5, where Cersei, along with her friend, went to talk to the witch, who basically revealed to her in a prophecy, all of your children will die.
Right.
And this is more played up in the book as opposed to the show, but it's a little bit in the show, that Cersei, throughout the course of the story, very much comes to believe that prophecy.
Yeah.
After Joffrey dies, and after in the show Marcella dies, and now that Tommen is dead, it's almost like Cersei knew that this was going to happen.
Yes.
And she's just numb to the fact that her last child is now dead.
So we get this very almost haunting allude to what we know is coming. We see her assuming the role of Queen of Westeros, and she's sitting on the Iron Throne. And as she looks over to the right, she sees Jaime walking in, and his face just kind of says it all. He has earlier seen the giant crater that is now in King's Landing. He now walks into the throne room. His son is gone. And worst of all, his sister is now sitting on the throne, and there's no explanation yet.
Yes. And the look on his face, I firmly believe, is what the hell happened? Right. What did you do? Where is our son?
And this is going to push him over, I imagine. This is going to be the wrap-up for his love and desire for Cersei.
Right, for sure. Because for book readers, Jaime is kind of already at that point in the book where he has decided, look, Cersei's crazy. Yeah. Like, I have to get away from her. Like, I cannot be in love with her. I cannot ally myself with her anymore. And it looks like the show is finally getting to that point. And Jaime is one of the best characters in the book because he has such an incredible character arc. And I'm excited that it looks like the show is finally getting to that point.
Right. And it's kind of sad because Cersei has always been one of my favorite characters. And at this point, she has definitely full-on like been named this like evil queen kind of thing. She's the villain of the series now, almost just as much as the Night King.
Meanwhile, north of the wall...
Meanwhile!
Bran Stark and Mira Reed and Hodor are hanging out in the cave with the three-eyed raven,
Yes.
where Bran is learning to use his green searing powers, where he can actually see into the past and potentially the future. But the three-eyed raven, played by Max von Sydow, dude, so awesome.
He's so good.
Is revealing to Bran, look, these are some things that happened in the past. Bran sees father Eddard, along with Eddard's older brother Brandon and Benjen and Lyanna Stark.
Yep.
Eddard's sister. So in the very, very first episode of Game of Thrones, Robert Baratheon arrives in Winterfell and goes down into the tombs of Winterfell with Eddard Stark, where he recounts that he was in love with Lyanna Stark, Eddard's sister.
And they were betrothed.
Yes, and Lyanna was kidnapped by Rhaegar Targaryen,
right,
who was the son of the Mad King Aerys. So very, very important detail for the events that happen in this season, because it's revealed to Bran by the three-eyed raven, Ned Stark, along with Howland Reed, a character we have not been introduced to yet, who is Mira and Jojen's father.
Right.
Way back in the day, after Robert's rebellion was over, Ned, Howland, and a group of 5 other guys went to go look for Lyanna Stark, who had been kidnapped by Rhaegar.
Right.
And at this point in the war, Rhaegar is dead. So Ned arrives, where he meets Sir Arthur Dayne, who is this great legendary swordsman.
Right, the 2 swords.
A battle commences. At the end, Ned is left standing because Howland Reed saves his life by stabbing Arthur Dayne in the back. And Bran, while he's watching this with the three-eyed raven, says, I always thought that my father defeated him. And it's this really great moment where it's revealed to Bran and hence the audience that all of the things that you heard about Ned Stark, or all these things that you've heard about all these characters, that's not necessarily the full story. Kind of going back to...
History's told by the victors kind of idea.
Exactly. Kind of going back to when Jaime tells Brienne the story about how he killed the Mad King Aerys. He became the Kingslayer. Yeah, he stabbed his own king in the back, but it's because his king wanted to burn down the entire city with wildfire. Just because you've heard one version of the story doesn't mean you've heard the full story.
Yeah, and it's the 2 perspective idea. So Bran's it's almost like a training montage every time that we come back to Bran, where he's preparing himself to become the new three-eyed raven.
Right, and Bran, in his haste to kind of develop his abilities, green sears into the Were Tree and sees the White Walkers and the Night's King, the evil, badass White Walker leader who we've seen multiple times throughout these last few seasons.
And their whole army of undead.
Yes, and the Night's King sees him within the vision and touches him within the vision, and the three-eyed raven reveals to Bran, now that he's left his mark on you,
he can break this barrier.
Right, this cave is no longer safe. And my favorite line in the entire season, the three-eyed raven says, all right, it's now time for you to become me. And Bran says, am I ready? And he replies, no. Oh, it's so good.
There's no thought. He just looks at him as no.
Max von Sydow, he nails that line.
Yeah.
So the Night's King and the White Walkers arrive at the cave.
They just show up.
Yep. And the three-eyed raven is killed.
Yep.
Hodor, Mira, and Bran are hightailing out of the cave. And oh my gosh, they get outside and Hodor is holding the door closed so that all of the White Walkers can't get through. And Bran
is still
green searing. Yep. He's in the past where he sees a young Willis, a young Hodor. And
totally fine, speaking everything.
And yeah, but before he had any of the problems where he became a simpleton, and Bran uses his warging abilities to warg into the young Hodor in the past, so that he can control and give his mind back to the Hodor in the present. And we get the Hodor in the past riling on the ground and almost like a seizure.
Right,
and
as we cut back to the future.
And as we cut back to the present, where Mira keeps saying, Hodor, hold the door, hold the door.
Yep.
And in the past, we get little Willis riling on the ground, hold the door, hold the door, hold door, Hodor, Hodor. And oh my, it's
so rough because we see this young kid losing everything, and we're cutting back to Hodor.
Hodor in the present, he holds that damn door, man.
While he's getting ripped apart,
he's getting destroyed by the White Walkers that are trying to get through, and he holds that goddamn door.
Right, and he's gone. And this is Eddard Stark's death, Oberyn's death, all these deaths.
The Red Wedding,
are real tough.
But this is
so much worse.
This is the singular moment in the show where
Emotions hit.
Oh my god, when Hodor dies, I was in tears. It was so rough, dude.
Because it just happens, and you're like, oh my, they're gonna kill Hodor. They're gonna kill Hodor, and then it happens. It's like, Jesus.
So rough. So Mirren and Bran get away. They are chased by White Walkers, but they are saved by Benjen Stark.
The Cold Hands.
Who we haven't seen since season 1, Lost Beyond the Wall. Benjen Stark shows up, and he is now kind of like a half White Walker. He was being turned into one of the White Walkers, but the Children of the Forest, who helped Bran and Mira get into the cave, ended up saving him using the same magic that it's revealed to us, they used to create the White Walkers way back in the day.
Right, which they created the White Walkers, they said, to stop man's spread.
To defend themselves from men.
Yes.
So ultimately, we find out the origins of the White Walker. So Benjen gets Bran and Mira back to the wall and says, look, you've got it. Now that you know what's going on, you have to get back beyond the wall.
Yep.
You have to get back to civilization so you can help everyone. And in the last green searing in the final episode, Bran goes back to the scene where Ned Stark defeats Arthur Dayne, climbs up into the tower where he finds his sister Lyanna, and it is revealed that she's had a baby.
Yes.
And the baby was fathered by Rhaegar Targaryen.
Right, and she leans in and she whispers to Ned, she whispers his name, which we don't hear, and she says, if Robert finds out, he'll kill him.
Right.
You have to protect him. Promise me, Ned. Promise me, Ned. And that's the last thing that she says.
And we're looking at this baby, and the baby opens its eyes, and then we get a smash cut to Jon Snow.
Right, and now if you listen to the music here, it's wonderfully done. That the whole scene is very quiet, but it still has music playing in the background. It has hints and kind of themes of the Targaryen themes, like Mother of Dragons and stuff like that. And as we start to see the baby, that starts to kind of fade into Winter is Coming, which is, of course, the theme of the Starks, even so much that when it hard cuts to Jon, it's full playing Winter is Coming. And it's this wonderful blend of music to show and kind of say, he's a blending of a Targaryen and a Stark.
Right. So arguably the biggest reveal and surprise of this season. Well,
surprise with quotes around it.
Obviously the biggest reveal of this season, which people who have read the books and people who have been on the internet and kind of been all over the fan theories, it's been the biggest theory ever in this whole series that R plus L equals J. Rhaegar Targaryen plus Lyanna Stark equals Jon Snow. So Jon is a Targaryen and a Stark. He's not the son of Ned Stark, but he is the son of Lyanna Stark.
Right.
So, technically, Jon Snow is heir to the throne of Westeros. Because the Mad King Aerys was king, his eldest son was Rhaegar, and Rhaegar's eldest living child in the show is now Jon Snow. So Daenerys, even though she's in line for the throne because she was also the daughter of the Mad King Aerys, Rhaegar being the eldest and male, his children have a better claim to the throne than Rhaegar's sister, Daenerys.
Right.
So obviously this has huge implications for the story and going forward. And the show, the books do a lot better job, but the show didn't really convey the whole like Rhaegar thing. We get a previously on Game of Thrones moment where Robert is talking about the statue of Lyanna and how she was kidnapped from Rhaegar. So the show's giving you a little bit of context, but for those of you who weren't paying super close attention,
there's a Baelish scene where he's talking to Sansa about the blue rose and how Rhaegar gave it to Lyanna instead of his wife.
Yes, and we get in season 5, we had a couple scenes with one of my favorite characters, Barristan Selmy, who's still alive in the books. Damn it, why did you kill him in the show?
Yes.
But Barristan also tells Daenerys of the tournament at Harrenhal when Rhaegar first saw Lyanna, and we've been given a little bit of backstory on it.
It's been in the background, not a huge focus.
Exactly.
If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't have seen this coming at all.
Right, so ultimately the big reveal is Jon is half Stark and half Targaryen.
Right, and so when we finally cut back to him after this, he is in the halls of Winterfell, where, thanks to little Lyanna Mormont, who calls out essentially all the houses, and she's like, hey, you're an asshole, and like they all just kind of stand up. They apologize to Jon Snow for their kind of insubordination, and they swear their allegiance to him, and Jon Snow is then named the White Wolf and the new King of the North.
King in the North. Oh man, it's so great. When they all start chanting it, you're just like,
and they're like stabbing their sword into the ground, and then they're lifting it up. It's so much like, this is why we watch this show. It's these moments.
So a couple things that we didn't get to. The Hound is back. Sandor Clegane is alive, and he is now met up with the Brotherhood Without Banners, led by Beric Dondarrion and Thoros of Myr, because apparently we're not going to get Lady Stoneheart in the television show. You can go look that up if you want.
On top of that, we also get a little bit more backstory with Sam and Gilly as he heads to the Citadel.
Yeah, Sam Tarly stops off at Horn Hill, his ancestral home, where his
father's an asshole.
Yeah, his father's an asshole. He takes the ancestral blade, which is made of Valyrian steel, which will probably come into play, and then finally reaches the Citadel in Old Town, where he's going to train to be a new maester.
Yep.
And, of course, he is completely unaware of all the events that have happened at the Wall or around Westeros at this point.
He still thinks that Jon's alive and the Lord Commander.
Yep. But he walks into the library, and it's this really great scene because it's this grand library full of all these books, and it's this real moment of wonder that we don't often get in Game of Thrones.
The chandelier is the thing from the opening.
is like the thing from the opening.
Yeah,
like
the weird little sun sphere thing.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. It was a nice little detail. So there's a lot going on, and it's gonna lead into hopefully an excellent 7th and 8th season. They're planning on
terrible.
Yeah, they're planning on 13 more episodes. I think 7 for season 7
and then
6 for season 8.
I was 6 for 6
and 6 for season 8. So when they finally do wrap everything up, it should be pretty great.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for bearing with us. We kind of
we spent way too much time.
We went long on this one, and a lot of this was just like us telling you kind of what happened.
We want to go a little bit longer?
Hopefully you got a little insight on Jon's parentage and kind of the background of some of the things that are going on.
Right.
I do plan on kind of discussing Song of Ice and Fire at length at some point during the podcast.
Yeah, and we'll go back to the other seasons to talk about other big points.
Probably once, who knows, like George R.R. Martin still hasn't finished the 6th book, and who knows when the 7th book is coming. So I would really like to do a retrospective once all said and done, but who knows when that's going to happen, or who knows if this podcast will still be around or whatever.
Oh, it will be.
But either way, we really appreciate you bearing with us. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yep.
If you'd like to let us know what you think of Game of Thrones or the episode, please let us know. We're on Facebook. Who's your favorite character? It's clearly Davos.
It's Davos. It has to be Davos. If it's not Davos, you haven't watched the show.
You can get at us on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail. We're also on YouTube. You can find us on Libsyn.
Go faster. Go on.
You can get us on iTunes. Review, subscribe.
Do everything. Help us out. It's really great. Thank you.
Comment, like, all that stuff. Again, send us cookies.
Yes.
Thanks to Major for the themes.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone who's listening. Again, we really hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next week.
Yep. Next week's going to be 2 hours long. Bye.